1. So this happened about a week ago. I came into work at 4:45 p.m. on a Friday to see that I was on with a catered party with another server at 8:30. This isn't an issue. I don't mind taking care of parties, especially catered ones, because they literally sign a contract saying they have to tip 22% on the catered food, which is always upward of about $200. It sucks when you have to split the tip with another server, but it's not awful. Anyway, the party section is in the back of the patio of our restaurant, which is a slower section, but can fill up on busy nights. My fellow server and I get one table around 5:15 and nothing after that. I went up to the host stand and asked why they hadn't been seating us, and they say it's because one of the newer managers told them to stop seating us at 5:30. 3 hours before the party was supposed to come in. I tell them no, we don't need that much time to set up. Please sit us with what you can before they come in. Another hour passes and nothing, so we both go up and ask what's going on. The host says she's tried seating us multiple times and either the manager told her not to, or the customer wanted to sit in a different area. I go up to the manager and ask him why he doesn't want us getting sat, even though the party isn't coming in for another 2 hours. And we only really need 30 minutes to clean everything, since tables are already set up. He says he just doesn't want to risk something being out of place when they come in. Despite this, fellow server and I continue to push for the host to sit us if they can. Then 8:30 finally rolls around. Each of us still only had one table, and the party is late, 30 minutes late. That's literally 4 hours with no business for the two of us. I'm agitated at this point, but I try not to let it bother me since we have a guaranteed 22% plus extra when we start selling drinks. The party is one of those, a little rude and giving us a decent runaround, but not too bad. We run the extra tab up to $500, which is fantastic, so that's 22% on the catered bill, which is around $300, and then the other tabs that are separate. Everyone's cashing out and we present the catered check to the head of the party, and remind her that it's in the contract that she is required to tip 22%, and she's fine with that. Everyone clears out and we're picking up the checks, and see that the head didn't write down a tip. She just signed the receipt. So we get a manager and catch her at the front door. And the manager explains the contract to her again. She says it's her mistake, and she puts $116 on the tip line. And they leave. Fellow server and I put the tip in the computer and proceed to clean up the mess. About 15 minutes later, the head of the party and two others come back and ask to speak to the manager. I go get the only one available, unfortunately the newer one who wouldn't let us be sat for 3 hours before the party, and then go back to cleaning. The manager finished and I come up to him talking to the other server on the party. She looks at me and says, "You're not gonna be happy." I look at the manager and ask what happened. Apparently, the head of the party came back and says she didn't want to tip 22% on the entire bill, only the catered food, which was about $300. That's fine, I guess. But then they argued with the manager and tried to get a bunch of alcohol taken off for the inconvenience. Manager tried to tell them there's really nothing they can do since everything had already been entered in and they can't take the tip off. These people were adamant to the point that this weak-ass manager did take the tip off, and they gave us a $20 bill to split between the two of us, and left. And to add insult to injury, or vice versa, that manager had me close the patio that night instead of the scheduled closer, since I'd be there longer because of the party. I finished closing before the original closer even bust her section. I made $16 that night. Didn't even leave until 12:30. I was absolutely livid. 2. So I'm a hostess. I've been working at the tavern for a little over 2 years. Started at 18, almost 19, and I'm now 21. I will be leaving in January due to needing to have surgery and then transferring to a new school, university, about an hour away. I was at the company Christmas party last night and was talking to one of the owners. She is a sweet older lady and is always kind to me. She knows I'll be leaving and was really sad about it. She said to me, "You know, in the 15 years we've owned this tavern, you are the best hostess we've ever had by far, and I honestly don't know how we're going to function without you." I was really shocked as I've never received a compliment like that before. Her reasons for saying this are, I follow the rules and aren't afraid to put a customer in their place if necessary, and make sure to play by policy and be as nice as possible about it. I handle rude customers really well. I act apologetic to complaints even if I really don't give a fuck. When it's busy, I clean tables, water customers, bring drinks, help serve food, make drinks, clean spills, and whatever else the waitresses might ask me to do. The table cleaning is always unprompted, though. I just do that on my own. I always double-check with the waitresses that they heard me about a table. All tables are listed on a whiteboard. I befriend regulars as well as other customers easily and try and keep them entertained while waiting for a table. I try and answer questions regarding food. Wasn't trained as a waitress, so I don't know what's in everything 100%. I also try to not call off work unless it's absolutely necessary, or if it's a planned vacation, I let my manager know months in advance and leave her reminders. Place a request in March for a 9-day cruise in mid-June. I should also mention I am the only hostess, period. I run the floor for the most part. I really don't like bragging, but I'm just so flattered and proud. The owner said the girls, the waitresses, agree, hence why they tip me from time to time. She also said she's going to put an ad in the paper for new hostesses soon. And if one is able to start before I leave, I can train them. That's so exciting to me, and I just absolutely love my job, and I'm going to miss everyone so much. The cooks, the dishwasher, the girls, my manager, the 2 owners, and all the wonderful regulars I've befriended over the 2 years. I don't necessarily want to leave, but it's not worth driving an hour there and back multiple times a week, as opposed to the 15 minutes I drive now. I'm so sorry if this sounds like bragging. 3. I work at a fancy sit-down, wood-fired pizza joint with a nice patio downtown overlooking the river. It's a busy night, and I'm sat with a foretop, the kind of people whose answer to "Hey folks, how are you doing tonight?" is pepperoni. And the gang leader dude is very critical of the patio, the menu, and, of course, my every move. I distinctly remember him. A 40-something-year-old beardy man asking for a Roy Rogers and throwing a fit when I told him we didn't have grenadine. But I'm patient enough to diffuse it by trying to be genuine and kind in return. He ordered a Coke. Fast forward 20 minutes and 3 Cokes later, and he's down to his last couple sips, so off I go to get him more sugar. I contemplated joking about filling a carafe for him, but this man has a Jeff Dunham-level sense of humor. Before I could head inside, a man sitting at the table opposite from him began suffering a very violent seizure. He fell out of his chair and hit his head on the concrete and was writhing as blood ran down his face. I quickly moved the surrounding chairs and tried to hold his head and keep him on his side. Another table called 911. His date was mortified. She said it was their first. I held him tight for about 2 minutes until he became conscious. He was a very kind man, and seemed more embarrassed than worried. He told me he didn't need an ambulance, so his head and neck were in severe pain. "Sorry, dude, they're already on their way. Just lie down till they get here." Right before the paramedics arrived, Dick Table calls me over. For some reason, I'm expecting it to be related to the situation. Then, with a chuckle and a smug inflection, he asks, "So where's that Coke?" In disbelief, I just give him a scoff and turned around to open the door for the paramedics. As I'm walking away, he goes, "Hey, did you hear me?" And he's basically harassing me as I'm just trying to do what I can to help in this situation. Other people notice his lack of decency, like, dude, why are you focused on me right now? Once they had arrived and began treating the epileptic man, I could resume my job. I returned to the table and they were all silent, and the main dude was glaring at me as overtly as possible. I just stood there for a second with his Coke in one hand and his check in the other, looking him in the eye. I sat them both down and said a little louder than necessary, "Sorry, he just had a seizure. Here's your Coke." Everyone looked over at their table and he just sat there with his pubic beard and yellow grin like, "What did I do?" They paid cash and wanted their change back, something like 80 cents. Whatever. 4. I'm good at my job, but every now and then I make a simple mistake or something happens that is completely out of my control. I don't know if people think they're being helpful or if they're hurting my feelings, but really most of the time they're making themselves look like idiots. A few weeks ago I had a 6-top I got an appetizer, and they said the chips were stale. I said I'm sorry about that and went to the kitchen to let them know and asked them to fry up some new ones. We were really busy, so I was going around to my other tables, and I noticed that they hadn't gotten their new chips, but they were still eating the appetizer. I go into the kitchen to ask about how long and saw their actual food was about to go out, and the guy on the fryer told me sorry he forgot about them. I take my food to the table and I apologize to them again, explaining that there was a miscommunication. They were all very happy and I gave them perfect service the rest of the time they were there. I told my manager about it, and since they had eaten most of the appetizer anyways, she discounts half of it. I give them their bill, chit-chat with them for a bit, and then carry on with my night. When I get back, I see a tip for $18 on $100, and a note that says, "I would have tipped 20% had you done the right thing and taken the whole appetizer off." I didn't care one bit about the loss of the $2. I even did the math because I was so annoyed, and had the manager take the additional $4 off the app, and I got tipped 20% on the new total. It would have been the same, or maybe $1 difference. The part that annoyed me was I had done everything in my power to get it fixed, and I can't control what discount the manager decides to give people. Even the manager was just following the guidelines of what we normally do anyways. Plus, I was at the table at least 3 different points after giving them the check to pick up dishes and whatnot. They had every opportunity to say something about it. The woman who wrote it was just being petty and wanted a reason to bitch. Then, last night, a couple gave me $40.28 for a $28.28 bill. I was rushing and made a simple mistake and gave them back $11.75 instead of an even $12. So they wrote out the math in big letters on my tip and a small note. I get that it was my mistake, but it was a quarter. If it means that much to you, flag me down and ask for it, because I certainly don't need a quarter enough to try and screw a customer out of one. Don't write some stupid petty note, it's not constructive, and it certainly doesn't hurt my feelings. 5. Terrible people, a Thanksgiving PSA that will never reach nor matter to those that should hear it. I've been a server and industry worker for over 10 years, though not consecutively. My current job is also my first corporate restaurant job, and I've been there for roughly 4 months. It's a fairly upscale steakhouse and also the best serving job I've ever had, monetarily speaking, which is great. I live in a city where the cost of living is high, so might as well submit to the corporate shtick, right? I consider myself fairly accepting and unbothered generally by the vast majority of clueless and/or terrible people that one occasionally waits on in such establishments. There are also tables and customers, guests, and it is what it is. But I must share this with, like anybody, because I'm still on the verge of wanting to stab someone in the eyeballs with a freshly polished fork. We get it. I get it. Go out for the holiday, don't cook. Fuck it, just get your family together and go out to eat. Great. That's why we're open, and we're here to ensure you have a pleasant meal and evening. But when a restaurant has adjusted hours for said holiday, and you make a reservation for a large party literally 15 minutes before said closing time, for the love of God, just show up sort of on time. Not, for example, having 4 people show up 3 minutes before closing, and the rest of your group trickle in slowly over the next half an hour. Also, if you know you'll be 10 instead of 12, maybe mention that when we call you at 8:45 to make sure you're still coming. Whatever. But it could at least make it so your table is more comfortable and accommodating to your group. And also, please don't toss chairs you don't like or need out from your table into the dining area walkways. We had a table nearby with a woman in a wheelchair, so yeah, that could have been a serious issue. And for the few that managed to get there before closing time, feel free to check out a menu while you're waiting. It will streamline your dining experience. Order your drink. We are literally all just standing about waiting for you. We tried to give them menus. They refused until the rest of the party arrived. And no, we don't have turkey on the menu. Not tonight. Not any night. Anywhere. We have never had turkey on the menu. You are mistaken. Getting angry will not solve this problem. We also didn't have the specific tequila you wanted, and I do apologize for that as well. Once again, getting angry at the staff will not make said tequila magically appear. Okay, you found something to eat? Hooray! We are elated. Food is served. Maybe 45 minutes go by. 9 out of 10 guests have cleaned their plates. Number 10 is eating still. Okay, sure, no big deal, lady. Take your time. Fork is down. We clear empty plates. Once we get number 10, she picks up her fork again, slowly eating. Singular potato. Tiny bite of steak. Okay, lady, carry on. We have broken all corporate rules at this point per clearing tables. Your servers at this point collectively do not give a fuck, as it's been over an hour and a half since the first of the group arrived. 20 minutes later, I finally convinced my co-worker to let them know the kitchen is closing, aka been done closed. Would they like dessert? Newsflash, they do! If you are the last table in a restaurant and it's been over 2.5 hours since the restaurant has been officially closed, the least you can do is acknowledge that people have stayed late to take care of you during this holiday. When you finally decide to get up from your table, your dinner and dessert long finished, the place empty, the lights on full blast, the music off, and your servers manage to say thank you, have a good night, I am sure you can muster a wave or a mumbled acknowledgement of some kind. Eye contact would have been something. Completely ignoring us as you slowly saunter out the locked front doors was the final blow. You are all truly terrible people. And finally, put down your fucking cell phones for 2 seconds so we can make sure you have the right food and drinks delivered to you. To those dining out on any holiday, the servers taking care of you are people too. We have families and friends that we'll likely not see tonight. What time is it? Yep, definitely not seeing tonight. And if you're going to be those people, okay, fine. Please acknowledge us when we speak to you. We are not your personal slaves. I get that you don't care, but know that you are the absolute worst. I know it is what it is. Certainly not my first time taking care of people that stay way too late, but come on. I can't complain about the tip per se, because magically my co-worker was able to convince them, the manager, to let us add gratuity to the check. All in all, staying for 2.5 hours past closing time to take care of one group of assholes for $60 added to my tip at the end of the night. If they had tipped spectacularly or been nice or pleasant, I would not be writing this. $60? No thank you. Plus being treated like garbage, kiss my ass. And happy fucking Thanksgiving. Please do not come back on Christmas. Please? Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, number 74. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. As I'm recording this, it is currently the 11th of December. I keep reminding myself, not that I'll be able to forget because it's everywhere right now, that we have an election, another election, in the UK tomorrow. So I'll go out and I will do my duty as an honest citizen and cast my vote. I don't really talk too much politics, at least not on Twitter and places like that. Generally don't want to tick people off. Although around about this time I usually like to pop a little tweet out reminding people it's election day and that you know, make sure you stay in line when you're voting, because as long as you're in line, you still have the right to vote, even if the polls have technically closed, as long as you're in line before they close. Of course, if you are on my Discord, then you certainly know who I won't be voting for. Also, I have to go pay bills while I'm out tomorrow. I was going to do it today, then I realised, well, I'm going out tomorrow anyway, so I may as well just wait and pay the bills then. And when I come back, work again, because I've got oodles and oodles of stories to make. But we're getting there, So far I'm on schedule. I expect that's probably going to get disrupted a little bit, but I'm kind of accounting for that, to be honest with you. And as I'm working away this week, well, at least today anyway, I've got clips of QI, so Stephen Fry, mostly Stephen Fry. I have watched the ones with Sandy Toksvig. She's doing a good job, actually, so I'll certainly be watching, well, I'll be watching the XL versions when they come up, but I don't see the point in watching it twice. I'll just wait for the XL versions. But mostly clips of Stephen Fry being very adorable and Stephen Fry-y. Stephen Fry-y? Stephen Fry-esque? Stephen Fryful. On QI. Anyway, I must say, this year really has whooshed by. Christmas, well, it's about 2 weeks away? Less than 2 weeks, maybe? Unless I'm mathing wrong. No, I'm mathing correctly. I'm a good mather. Well. With that, I guess I'd better head off for now. Oodles of work to do. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.